Tech bollock question for this week.
All right, what we got?
At what point does a human being... At what point... Let me finish. At what point does a human being become a cyborg? Yeah, that shuts you up for a minute. So a cyborg is generally considered a human that has biomechanical parts connected to them that give feedback.
Sure.
So for example, if you got like a splint, that doesn't make you a robot. Or like if you have metal fillings in your teeth, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But if you have a robot hand, like you got your Bucky Barnes situation, he's a cyborg now.
Yeah. So as you're talking about in like small details, and if someone was to get hearing aid, are they cyborgs?
Here's where it came from for me. Who is the fastest man in the world?
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt. 100 meters, 200 meters, fastest man in the world.
Sure.
Who's the fastest man at 400 meters?
Is it him as well?
No, it's a man named Wade van Niekerk. I screwed that up.
Really?
He's Dutch.
Okay.
400 meters, he's the world fastest man. He did it in like 40 seconds.
Faster than Bolt?
He's faster than Bolt, yeah.
Okay.
So Bolt, I don't think Bolt's ever ran 400 meters in it. Maybe he has, I don't know. Who is the fastest marathon runner?
I don't know, my friend.
His name is Dennis Kimetto.
Okay.
He did the marathon in 2 hours, 2 minutes official.
Okay.
Recently, now this came up because recently my brother told me about Nike did a stunt where they had these guys in like perfect conditions trying to break the track record in their new shoes.
Okay.
So they were trying to get under 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I think they got 2 hours, 1 minute or something.
Right.
But this guy's the official record at 2 hours, 2 minutes, okay? Now in 2012, a man named Joshua Cassidy got the marathon record. Guess what time he did the marathon record in?
What was the previous one, sir?
2 hours, 2 minutes.
I don't know, 1 hour 58?
1 hour 18.
What?
Now you see the difference here is very simple. Joshua Cassidy is paralyzed. Okay. And he did it in a wheelchair.
Oh.
So here's a weird fact. The 400 meters guy, he's a normal able-bodied athlete. Yeah. I don't want to say normal person because that kind of offends people, I guess. But, you know, he's a normal runner.
Yeah.
Every single record over 400 meters is owned by someone in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the only problem with being in a wheelchair is getting up to speed. So, you know, once Usain Bolt gets started, his leg is pushing every single time. Like, this is just my basic understanding of it. Yeah. One leg pushes, other leg pushes. So he's constantly getting locomotion going. Yeah. But if you're in a wheelchair, your arms have to push down. Yeah. Then you have to bring your arms back up and then push down again. And in that upward motion, you're not making any speed. Yeah. But what happens is once you get up to 400 meters, your momentum's taking you up. So as you're bringing your arms up again, the wheels are moving on their own.
Totally, yeah.
So that means everybody over 400 meters, every record over 400 meters is owned by somebody in a wheelchair. So they're all technically cyborgs. Except that the wheelchair doesn't give feedback.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't.
It doesn't. But my point is the difference between the guy who has the official record for the marathon and the guy who actually has the record for the marathon is one is in a wheelchair. So we've divided them up into able-bodied and disabled, or, you know, Paralympian.
Yeah.
So my point about the cyborgs is this. At some point we will have, you know, a robot arm that can give you feedback. Sure. So when do we start cutting them off from sports? When do you say this guy can't be on the Blue Jays? Because he's got a robotic knee.
Well,
or a robotic heart.
What's your dude's name with the legs in the Paralympics?
Oscar Pistorius. Yeah. He was the only guy who's ever competed at the Olympics and Paralympics.
But what's your thing on him because of the like bounciness that gives him? Because that was that was talk. You know?
That's one of the first things they've actually got now in terms of cybernetical connections is legs. Yeah. And I think in 2002 there was a guy who did
but also he has like
it's the spring loaded
so like that's technically an advantage.
But that's what I mean about advantage, disadvantage. Like when do you get to say you're a cyborg, you cannot compete? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't go and do the, I don't know, NBA and have like a metal arm that gives you a perfect free throw. Yeah. They just be like, no, you can't do that.
True, yeah.
So we've obviously made a differentiation.
Well, I think it's going to happen until the advancements are up there and they're knowable to everyone. Like, I mean, like whether it's an eye or an arm, but as soon as like, I mean, it's definitely going to be made known to us when an NBA player has like a metal arm and he can like throw exact 3-pointers. Yeah. But yeah, so when do I think that's going to happen? I think it's going to actually happen pretty damn soon.
Oh, well, it's already technically happened in terms of people being a cyborg.
It's happening, but when's it going to really break? Yeah. Like everyone's going to be like, hang on a second, this team or this person shouldn't have won because of this. Yeah. You know, I think that's going to happen pretty damn soon because of tech, but I don't know where it's going to happen. Yeah. Like it could happen as easy as, this is kind of throwing out there, but darts. The guy has a mechanical eye or whatever. Like I know that's a little bit far thrown.
Yeah, they've done stuff with the eye. Yeah, that was actually one of the first things they did back in the 70s. Right. They gave a guy LED implants behind the eye. Yeah. That let him see like a grayscale color. Right. Now this was hooked up to this giant machine that he couldn't move. Yeah. But as time went on, that machine became something that could just be connected to like something on his jacket, and he could see. So like, that was just getting a guy from 0 to normal. Yeah. But if you get a guy from 100% up to 120%, 150%, he's got a little magnification thing on his
well, that's like last week when I mentioned the Lowe's using the exoskeleton.
Yeah, the exoskeleton.
Like they can lift heavier and they can bring them up because they're wearing this suit. Yeah, kind of thing like that. It's a good question. Like, I mean, how do you feel about it? Like, what do you like?
My thing is, you'd immediately say, "Oh, if you've got a cybernetic, you can't be in a regular competition."
I agree with that.
But if you're a sports fan and you can get a guy with a cybernetic arm,
well, let's go football because you're into your football, soccer for all the
like if you could get a guy with cybernetic legs,
so they're playing your team, and they beat you,
like ridiculously beat you, because they're just endlessly
You're
faster.
Not going to be best pleased. The fans aren't going to be best pleased. No. There's going to be outrage. It's going to be like, well, this guy scored 3 goals. No one's ever scored
those. But if you look at it in terms of a sporting thing, like something a little bit more physical, like American football, like you could have guys that can throw perfect passes, guys who can run like the 100 meters faster than Usain Bolt.
They're going to fatigue, you know. Whereas this one guy with the arm is always
But I mean, if you have both teams that are at that level, then that means every game is going to be like top quality. Yeah. So if you were playing football, it'd be like everybody on the team is Lionel Messi.
And watching the regular football is going to be boring.
Exactly. You know. So you have like the top quality human athletes. Sure. Just cannot compete with the cyborg athletes. Yeah. And it's the same as if you're watching Joshua Klitschko. You're like, these are the best of the best.
It's going to be like...
but these two motherfuckers have got steel jaws and robot arms. Yeah. And they're so fast. And you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, what's that movie? Sorry, just as you brought that up, there's the one with Hugh Jackman, the robots.
Oh, Real Steel.
Real Steel, sorry. Yeah. Just reminded me of that.
But in terms of cyborgs, I'm like... You know this guy is going to be better than us.
I found
he'll run faster or throw faster.
The question that you just brought up there, the first time you brought it up, the thing that was amazing to me was like what makes a cyborg. Yeah, you know, is in like the smallest thing. You know, the smallest thing that you react to that is implanted into you. Suddenly you're a cyborg. Is that what you were basically saying?
Like
that's pretty crazy.
Some of the definitions of people who are cyborgs now are people of cochlear implants. Right. That's cochlear for the people out there who can't hear my accent. Do you know the thing that can attaches to the side of the head and lets people hear again? Yeah. Because technically that person had no hearing. Yeah. You've given them hearing and that requires feedback because you need to be able to level it out and
but it make always sure you're getting... sounds better when you say cyborg.
Cyborg. Yeah. And then there's the people that have little chips in their hand. Yeah. So they can open doors. Right. It's like their personal smart card reader.
Why don't they just use the handle?
Yeah, well, you know, it's the way people are in America now. Handles are for losers. But you can also get that connected to like your bank account. So you can just, it's like your PIN. Sure. Like you swipe your thing. And yeah. So they're cyborgs. Yeah. On a level of like, it's got a technological component.
Yeah, totally.
But in terms of like someone who's actually going around day to day with something that they can control, we're not quite there. But we're very close.
When do you think we'll see a football game or a basketball game where the guy's got a mechanical leg or arm? Yeah. And that leg or arm is giving him an advantage. Like, do you like it's going to happen eventually?
I don't think it'll happen. I think they're going to have to like. So. But that's what I'm saying about it's going to become this like 2-tier process of they'll just blanket say this guy can't
unfair
play.
Advantage.
And then all those guys who have that unfair advantage would be like, we'll just make our own league.
But that
the Cyborg league.
Okay. So then that goes to your question as when, because that will take a while.
That will take a while. Like to have that many people meeting,
you know, and then you're gonna have a crowd of those people cheering them on.
Yeah.
You know, in a way. Yeah. You'll have regulars. I don't know if they should be calling
like the only reason like Paralympics don't get the respect of regular Olympians is because of just like a perception thing. They're not quite as good.
Sure.
But if you have Paralympians that are doing better than the Olympians, throwing
further, and
like you get a guy with a robot arm, like throwing the javelin, you're like, but even then, like, does a cyborg get into the Paralympics? Because the Paralympics, they have all these like T1, T2, all these levels of like how blind you are, I
think that will be the start of it. I think that will be the start of it.
Like Pistorius, like you said, is a good example.
I actually think he's a really good example because like people were saying like, this guy's winning, he's kicking ass. But a lot of people are saying like, but is he getting like
an extra bounce?
Extra bounce, and that is actually the start of it. And then that will happen again in like a long jump or something like that. And then people will be like, okay, hang on a second. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody's doing archery on a new eye.
Exactly.
That's even better than the old eye.
Yeah. So I think it will just happen gradually like that. But oh man, it's crazy to think it's the Cyborg Olympics or something like that.
And Cyborg NFL.
I can see like just because I'm a designer, I can see like the UI at the bottom. It'll be like the Olympic Games. And then you'll have like the times, but then you'll have like a regular time, and then you'll have a blue one, which is the Cyborg time.
WR, BW or CWR.
So you'll see a drastic change. You'll be like, that's half the time, but then it will be in blue. So it's like the Cyborg Olympics.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm doing the announcement for it, the Cyborg.
So then,
as long as it looks better than the fucking Cyborg from Justice League.
Justice League trailer. So the other question there is, I'd get going off from it on the moral thing of like for me, if I was to think about it, I think you're a cyborg if you get anything after birth.
Right.
So I think birth is your cutoff.
Yeah.
If you're not born with it,
you're pure.
Yeah. You're pure or whatever. Like if you were born and you had a deformity or you had an illness. You're not being
born with devices on you.
Exactly. You're born as clean as you can get.
Sure.
So everything after that is an addition. So if you get anything past birth, you're a cyborg.
Yeah. Also, is cyborg a harsh word, or is that a cool term for it? I don't know. Like, is that actually the official term as well?
An official term. I'll get you the official definition. A cyborg is a being with both organic and biomechatronic body parts. Okay. And it was first coined in 1960.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just curious.
There's all the other things of like androids. And that's not the same thing. A cyborg is definitely
cybernetics on a
human.
On a human. Yeah.
Like technically, the Terminator is a cyborg. Right. Because it's a robot, but it's got with human parts. Yeah. But generally, the way it's considered is it's a living creature that's being added to with mechanical parts.
Right.
I just think we have to accept that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And how do we deal with the fact that they will eventually be stronger and faster and better than us?
How about this scenario? How about you've got Ronaldo playing? I'm just choosing Ronaldo. You'd think an Englishman would know his football.
Yeah.
I'm out of touch. You're out of touch. I don't even know the rest of the song.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Another English failing. It's an English song.
I'd like to think that you're going to cut that out, but you're not.
Oh, Christ.
But Ronaldo...
Every song stays in. That's a rule.
So you got Ronaldo, and then he's starting to fatigue. You know, there's other players coming in. Ronaldo decides to get his legs taken off, cyborg legs. He's going to be in the Cyborg Premier League.
Yeah.
And then he's going to really excel over there. Yeah. Do you see that ever happening? And I'm not saying with Ronaldo. I'm just saying it down
the players line. Like deliberately
players, like, as small
augmenting
themselves. As small as like a dart player or something with an eye or something. But then you can argue that you've got these parts. I guess it's up to you to use them. I'm really going to extremes here by dropping legs off. But you can argue that it's going to become like almost like Formula One. You're going to have like a part that's designed by a certain manufacturer, and then you're going to have like your pistons are going to be done.
The Makers League, and then, the manufacturers groupings,
Oh, Rooney, he's out of gas. He's gone in for a
he's gone in for a pit stop.
That would be interesting as well.
I just think we have to get to the point of, I think most of the cybernetics are going to come through amputees and people coming back from war and soldiers, because that's what you want. You want your soldiers to come back and at least give them some sort of a measurable life. So I know a lot of the testing with the robotic hands for sensory input, so you could actually physically move the hand. And they have gone to the point of you can move the robot hand. And then there's been other tests I've seen where they can give some sort of feedback, like haptic feedback or like physical kind of stimuli, so that when the robot touches something, you know you've touched it. Because that's the next part of it. It's not enough to control the robot. You have to know that you're not going to grab a watermelon and break it, or you know, somebody's hand. You got to shake their hand and not screw it up.
They just need to speak to the guys of what was it, Star Trek Next Generation?
That's
Data. Remember he had the skin patch? The Borg. That's it.
The Borgs.
We'll try and contact the Borgs. So cyborgs.
Humans with all the and that's where Borg came from.
They were slightly going off here, just very quickly, but the Borg, just in general, just friggin' loved that as an enemy. They're like, they were one of my favorite enemies.
They were future zombies. So, they were amazing.
And then when they took Picard as well, and you were like, oh,
Locutus of Borg was a great episode.
And then you had 7 of 9.
I love the way that kept on. Like he's still got messed up from that years later.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he still has like these shots.
Star Trek First Contact. Where
that's right.
PTSD, and you still remember.
Such a good film.
So it was one of the best ones.
Anyway, back to the
Cyborgs.
The Cyborgs.
So I think the law will have to be what you're born with. That's what you get. And if you start adding to that, you're out.
Do you see people adding to it though, or do you see it because it's a decision they have to make? Like, sorry.
Well, this is where the moral thing comes in. Like, if you're born blind, and you get cybernetic eyes put in, so you can see. Does that automatically disqualify you from?
It does,
every sport in the world.
Because those are the cards that you've been dealt. It is because of that. However, what happens when you get a Tony Stark who just wants to have those 2 arms, which can do whatever he wants? You know, he pays for them. So like the rich, they pay for it, they have them. But he's, as soon as you do that, there's going to be something like little signage that you got to do, and it's like, if you ever compete in this or whatever, it's like you are a cyborg, basically.
Well, that's the thing. Like you're kind of screwed. It's like the disability. What's the thing?
What about if it's your little finger?
Just one finger.
Yeah, and you lost it through an accident, and they replaced it, and they were like, "Oh, we'll give you full motion, everything. Are you now a cyborg and you can't play tennis?" Against
this is what I mean. Like, how little is it? It has to be. I think it has to be like a complete nothing. If you weren't born like this,
So if you lost your little finger due to an accident, they replaced it, and then you were a tennis player. And then you were practicing and you wanted to play Andy Murray. He was like, still the champion. Sorry, sir. Like, your little finger. It's,
there's a little robot finger there. That doesn't count.
Classified as a cyborg. You can enter the Cyborg Olympics and play Tony Stark.
With his 2 robot arms.
Stony Tark. That's crazy. That's crazy to think. And so are you in favor of, like, you will have to...
No, because it's discrimination again. Like, if your kid is born blind and you give him cyborg eyes, then that kid's like, oh, I can never play sport. Like, I'm talking like the first wave.
But they're just going to be grateful
before there's a cyborg league.
They're going to be grateful they could just see.
But at the same time, you can't just say, oh, well, you're great. You should be grateful because you're normal.
Don't have to wear these glasses.
Like, you have to wear glasses. That's...
I know what you're saying. The decision's been made for them. They had no decision in...
And then they grow up and like, I love basketball. I want to play basketball. It's like, you can't. I'm sorry. You've got eyes. Like, you just can't do it. And it's like, but why? I haven't done anything wrong. It's like, well, you were born wrong. It's like, that's a harsh thing to say to somebody, you know?
How dare you?
I have to crush your dreams because you were born wrong. Like, that's horrible.
No, I'm with you on it as well. Like, it's the smallest thing, and it needs to, like, you're born pure, and then if anything, like, even if it's the eyes, like you said, from birth, but you get them replaced, you are a cyborg. It still sounds very weird to me to say that. You're a cyborg, son.
You're a cyborg, son.
It's like, am I adopted? No, you're just a cyborg.
It's just a cyborg.
So, you ever wondered
Are you sure I'm not adopted? No, I did not fuck a toaster.
Did you ever wonder why you've never gone for a piss? So I am in agreement grievement.
You're in grievement over the child who can't take a piss.
I just can't speak. I'm with you on, like, you wouldn't be able to have them compete, or there'd be so much uproar if, you know, this guy won because of his eyes, or this and that. When it's going to happen, I think it's going to be a while, like a long while, like before any of our Uber story conversations we've had or anything. But
yeah, I think that'll happen.
I can
first.
see it. I can totally see it happening, and we've got to put that prediction down in this podcast, episode 14.
Yeah. So the law is you're born as how you are.
It's just crazy to think about all of these things that we talk about, like with the cyborgs and the self-driving cars.
And then our two nieces have to do it in whatever,
phones,
16 years.
Which phones, and they're not going to be called phones in 50 years. They're going to be like, why are you calling them phones?
Smarties, that's what I'm thinking.
They're going to be like embedded into their cyborg eyes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you and I are pure, aren't we?
I have a broken arm, so I have a plate in my arm.
Have you got a plate in your arm?
Yeah. But that doesn't count because I don't get any feedback from it.
You don't get any feedback from it,
Except if it's raining, then it kind of pisses me off and makes me hurt like an old man with a bad
Technically, that's feedback, man.
Yeah, true.
So, technically, we can call you T2000. Liquid. We can melt that, put it into good old liquid metal.
So anyway, as always, anybody got any thoughts, send it to us on Twitter. Yeah, at Rant and Bollox, and Gmail, rantandbollox@gmail.com.
And I guess if you've got any modifications that, you know, you do get feedback from, as little as it is or as big as it is, like thoughts on that as well.
Like, what would you love to see as a sport enhanced with cyborg parts? Like the javelin, where they're just throwing it outside the stadium. Yeah, they're just flinging it across the country.
That would be hilarious, actually. Seeing that'd be a great ad for it as well. Like have an Olympic stadium, but their one is a thing on a it's like a target on a zeppelin in the sky. You know, that'd be a great ad. It's like, yeah, great little topic, that, man. Yeah. So. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, click the subscribe button.
Yeah, and as always, you can check out the full episode on iTunes, or here it's going to be posted usually every weekend. Thanks for listening.
Oh yeah.